Hey everyone, my name is Paradoxx. I'm a full-time videographer in the Metaverse. Today I'm going to tell you a bit about how I got here, what kind of video content I make, and importantly, how I joined the Metapurse Fellowship program and what it's all about. Alright, let's get into it. Let's start with a bit of my professional background. So my training and experience came from the television and film industries here in the United Kingdom. I studied television production at university and then went on to work on a broad range of content. So I've worked in TV studios for things like television shopping and news. I've worked on short films and I've dabbled in feature films too. However, most of my experience has come from freelance videographer and video editing work. And this has covered everything from wedding photography, recording theatre productions, live events, absolutely all sorts. So before joining the Metaverse full-time, my last job, which was for a video production company based out of rural England, and that company specialised in aerial photography and videography. So that meant piloting drones and hanging out with helicopters, and the other thing the company specialised in was long-term time-lapse. So usually this meant setting up cameras on construction sites to cover building projects that sometimes lasted years. My first taste of the crypto space was back in December of 2017, and it was right about the time of the major bull run. So as you do, I threw a load of my hard-earned savings into Bitcoin, and kind of just like the Wolf on Wall Street, the next day the markets crashed. So it took me a while to get my trust back in crypto. Then in 2019, I had an email from an artist friend of mine named Metageist. So Metageist is a prolific VR artist in the Metaverse, and his email said he had discovered something called the Metaverse and crypto art. And at the time, I totally didn't understand it at all. But the point is, I started to learn. So soon enough, I found myself selling art on the Super Rare platform. I was collaborating with an American friend of mine called Siege. I would shoot super high-res time-lapses, and Siege would paint these weird and wonderful creatures, and then I would animate the layers, and finally, the Beholder series was born. And we did pretty well. I could have continued to be a crypto artist, and you know, I might still be someday, but due to my background in video creation, I naturally drifted back to creating video content. But this time, it was for a range of amazing Metaverse communities. At the time, I was still working a full-time job here in the UK, but I loved the Metaverse and the community so much that when I wasn't working, I was creating Metaverse video content. I started working with other people that I met in the scene that were passionate and wanted to experiment by running virtual events. One of the first events I organised was something called a gallery hop, similar to a pub crawl, but instead of pubs, it was entirely virtual galleries in the Metaverse. Some months later, I joined a truly amazing team that run a weekly virtual event based out of Crystal Voxels, and that event is called the Whip Meetup. It's the longest running weekly event in the history of the Metaverse, which is pretty cool. They have different speakers each week, tons of interesting content, and it's really quite newbie friendly as well. The Whip has just celebrated its 2-year birthday and it is stronger than ever. I joined the Whip as the resident videographer, creating videos and NFTs for the event every week. So joining the Whip was probably one of the smartest decisions I've ever made, as it exposed me to so many new people, thus growing my network and my contacts. Since then, I've had a pretty healthy stream of video work, by projects wanting a videographer to advertise and document their amazing projects and events. Then in January 2021, one of my fellow Whip crew members, Tubador, offered me the chance to work on the marketing videos for something huge, the B20 project. B20 was certainly my big break in the Metaverse, and to this day, it's still some of my fondest memories and work that I am most proud of. And in the present day, I am a proud member of the Metapurse Fellowship program. Think of the fellowship program as a sort of arts grant. Metapurse believes so strongly in the amazing work that is going on in the Metaverse, and through the program, they seek to support and encourage creators. So having worked with Metapurse in the past, and kind of really vibing with their approach to everything they do, I knew that when I saw the program being advertised that I just had to apply. And the beautiful thing was Metapurse were extremely open to pitch ideas. I was able to think about exactly what I wanted to offer the Metaverse, and naturally I wanted to continue doing what I did best, which is documenting the Metaverse. Safe to say, I was accepted onto the fellowship program, I quit my full-time job in the UK, and I have never looked back. There are times that you look back at your life and you can pinpoint pivotal moments. Being accepted onto the fellowship program was certainly one of those moments for me. So what have I been doing for the Fellowship? The first thing I did was, when I was accepted onto the Fellowship, was to contact Metageist and launch an interview series with him called Metanauts. So my job was to produce and edit the videos, with Metageist as the expert presenter. The idea was to do what no one else was really doing in the Metaverse with interviews. We would do it in person. And I know that sounds really odd, but the Metaverse is worldwide, and at the time, most people were choosing to be anonymous. So our plan was to travel around the UK and interview artists, builders, and so many more people in the Metaverse. Our first trip was to Scotland to meet probably the most talented and frankly nicest couple in the world, Trevor and Violet Jones. There's something to be said about actually meeting people in the real world instead of just conversing online. And during the course of the Fellowship, I've had the pleasure of meeting so many people. More recently for the Fellowship, I have launched a new series called Metaverse Cribs. And if you've ever seen the MTV Cribs episode from the early 2000s, you'll understand exactly how the format goes. The show follows virtual architects and parcel owners who show us around their builds and talk about their work and all the other projects they've been involved with. Crypto artists are certainly the rock stars in the scene, but I wanted to put a spotlight on some of the extraordinary work that was being created by these other groups of people. To name a few of my personal highlights from 2021, I would say the top of the list was obviously getting accepted onto the Metapurse Fellowship. It meant that I could quit my job and go full-time in the Metaverse, which I'd been looking for a way to do for at least a couple of years at that point. Also, in November 2021, Metapurse held a jaw-dropping, awesome event in New York called Dreamverse. This was also the first time I was ever traveling to the USA. And of course, at the event, I took my camera and I collected loads of footage. I was able to meet Metacoven, Tubador, Brooke, and so many more of the Metapurse team in person for the first time, and it was awesome. But during 2021, I've spoken to more artists, builders, programmers, platform creators, like you name it, than ever before. And the people are really what make the Metaverse so special. And the Metapurse Fellowship program has allowed me to tell all of their stories. So at this stage, I'm roughly halfway through the Fellowship, so I will be predominantly creating more Metaverse Cribs episodes and Metanauts episodes. Past the Fellowship, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do. I have several options ahead of me, which is really a fantastic position to be in. However, the one thing I'm sure of is that even after the Fellowship, I will continue to document the Metaverse, because it's what I do. And that brings us to the end of the video. So if you want to follow my story or see more of my work, you can follow me on Twitter and check out the Metanauts YouTube channel. And if you're interested in joining the weekly WIP meetup event, follow them on Twitter for details too. I'm Paradoxx, a proud member of the Metapurse Fellowship, and I'll see you around in the Metaverse.